appreciate and thank Gerry Greenspoon and Greenspoon Martyr for their support in our effort to make sure that this industry moves forward. And it's by educating you, the accountants and attorneys, and making sure that this industry is doing everything correct and doing everything to move forward. And so with that, we welcome our keynote speaker, Gerry Greenspoon, Greenspoon Martyr.
Thank you very much, and welcome everybody. We really enjoy putting on this presentation. We think it has a great practical importance and very beneficial to all who attend. We hope you agree. We're sure you will. Let me tell you a little bit about Greenspoon Martyr, our law firm. As you heard, we've been involved now for several years. We saw the tremendous growth potential of a brand new emerging industry. And given the history of our firm and what we've done in the past, we jumped right in and said we see the goal line, we see what's going to happen, and we've got to be involved in something so exciting and brand new. Greenspoon Martyr, we're a full-service business law firm and what's called an AmLaw 200 firm, meaning we're one of the 200 largest firms in the country, and we maintain national business and corporate practice in many highly regulated industries such as healthcare, alcohol, tobacco, and of course now cannabis. And uniquely, we're one of the few big law firms that has embraced the industry very early on. And we are now only now just starting to see other large firms follow suit. And we're committed to being a leader and expert provider of professional services in this space for many years to come. Legal community and cannabis community. What lets us stand apart from other firms who do touch on the industry is that we handle all aspects. You obviously have seen so many, for example, so many very large M&A corporate transactions evolving out of the industry. And there are firms who are doing just that. We do that as well, of course. But we also handle the highly regulated part of the industry, the licensing and the assistance with the operations of the businesses at the locals, at the state level and at the local level. So we're uniquely qualified to handle businesses of all types and sorts that are in any shape or form related to the cannabis industry. We represent both individuals and businesses who are directly involved in the cannabis industry, corporations who are acquiring cannabis, rolling up cannabis industries into a larger format. And we also represent businesses that provide the ancillary products and services which are so necessary to the cannabis industry. So we began our journey into this area around 2015, and since then we've built a pretty large group around the country. So in addition to offices in Florida, which is our home base, we've spread out and we cover the entire West Coast, and we now have offices in Denver, Portland, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Phoenix, San Diego, and we also cover, besides Florida, New York, and New Jersey. And we will continue to follow all the larger growing markets, either helping that market grow or jumping in where we see that there's a big opportunity and a good demand for legal services. So as a result of yesterday's election, more opportunity is created. So let's talk a little bit about advances in the cannabis market. So cannabis reform continues throughout the United States. And ballot initiatives to legalize cannabis continue to pass. Yesterday, 4 states had initiatives to legalize some form of marijuana. 3 of them were successful. Interestingly, Missouri and Utah have now legalized medical marijuana, pretty conservative areas. And we're very excited to hear about Michigan passing their recommended. Big state and very aggressive. We think that's going to be something very special to watch in the coming short period of time. Also interesting is what's happening a little bit in Florida, or what did not happen yesterday. Some may Some people may be quite disappointed in that, but I think overall there's still a changing landscape in the state of Florida. Most importantly, just recently, about a month or so ago, a little before that, the Florida law, the Medical Marijuana Act, that was passed in 2017, was actually declared unconstitutional. And major provisions of that bill were declared to be contrary to Amendment 2 that was passed in 2016. Not really a surprise to us attorneys who have been watching that process. That case is on appeal, but it has a dramatic effect. It is very likely to put a lot of pressure onto the legislature this year to go after a new bill in March of 2019. I can guarantee you that we'll be actively involved in that area. And the reason is because the amendment that was passed in 2016 was very broad. The law passed, which has now been declared unconstitutional, very, very narrow. So there's going to be, we do expect to see major changes, which will result in many opportunities for many, many businesses and interested parties. In addition, and also something to watch is there's currently a new ballot initiative that is underway to be put onto the ballot for another amendment in 2020. That initiative is for adult use of recreational marijuana. We know nationally, anyhow, it's in the process of getting the signatures and then approval by the Supreme Court, and then on the ballot in 2020. We do know nationally that the majority of this country, just on a national basis, all political persuasions, the majority are in favor. Of course, here in Florida, we need 60% vote, but it is a very, very good likelihood that that could pass in 2020. So there are a lot of exciting things still on the horizon here in Florida. In the past, state governments themselves, they've been slow to reform marijuana laws, and it's been mostly as a result of citizen initiatives. But we think that that's starting to change, and state legislators are now coming on board, and they're being much more responsive to the wishes of the citizens. It's become much less of a political issue and more of what do the people of our state and the people of the United States want to occur. And we do expect to see major changes in legislation in New York, New Jersey, and even Illinois coming from the legislatures themselves. And then, of course, and when that occurs, over 1/3 of the U.S. population will live in a state where adult use cannabis is actually legal. We already have 2/3 of the country with some sort of medical program in place. Now, what's occurring at the state level obviously is not being ignored at the federal level. And that there is a very strong bipartisan push to make some very material changes in federal law. This is critical for the advancement of the industry. And it is progressing slowly. Luckily, again, and we are in touch with many congressional delegates. It is a bipartisan issue. They wanted to get through. Certain committees hold it up here and there, but there is legislation proposed that we think is non-controversial, that has a very good shot of getting passed in 2019. Obviously, we want to see banking reform, critical for the industry. It's horrific what this industry has to go through in their just bank deposits or banking relationships. And we need to see a change in Section 280E, which is a crippling income tax effect to the cannabis industry. And those are the two most likely issues that will fall through Congress. Then we're seeing the expansion of the industry on a global scale. We're seeing, we just saw in Canada, October 17th, and I happened to be there on that day. October 17th, the recreational cannabis was legalized on a nationwide basis, and stores were able to open up immediately. They've developed the largest corporate public markets in the world. It's just incredible what's going on there, and those corporations have a ton of money ready to invest. And of course, you know, we're their number one spot where they're looking at to do so. And many other countries are also legalizing marijuana. So what's going to happen over the next few years that we're all watching is the import and export of the product. Of course, that can't happen until the descheduling of marijuana as a controlled substance occurs. So sometime within, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years, hopefully, that's going to change, and we're going to see so much more business developing, so many more opportunities that will be developing in this industry. So, a lot of progress, a lot of changes. We're all used to that now. That's what we live with. We live with changes on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. It's just constant. That's part of what we do in this industry. And there remains so much work to do. This industry is really unique to so many others because of being illegal federally. So it creates so many more challenges, and that's why it's so important to really dig in, get involved in depth, really understand the laws and the regulations, the accounting and the taxation, etc. Because there's so many pitfalls, and we see it all too often. And today you're going to hear a lot about a lot of those business, legal, and accounting issues, and we hope that you really participate. You're going to hear a little bit more about the state of the industry. We're going to talk about making investments in the industry and corporate transactions that are occurring. Then we're going to talk about specifically the business of medical marijuana here in the state of Florida. We're going to talk about the media and cannabis. A little more speaking about the effect of the midterm elections on the industry, and then you're going to hear about the banking, tax, and accounting issues for cannabis companies. All very, very interesting and really important stuff. Thank you all so much for attending. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everybody a little bit later.